think these emotional moments, these deep, meaningful moments, whether it's cleaning up the spill in the kitchen from your 2-year-old or having a baby, are just so incredibly and beautiful and important that we underestimate.
Welcome back to the Sensible Mama podcast. I am Felina Westcott, your host. Very happy to be with you today. Before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and please share it with a mama that you think might enjoy it. My guest today is Jennie Pyfferoen. She is a birth videographer and also does family videos. We had a really cool conversation the other day. There's a lot more to this subject than I thought, and so I'm really excited to get into the conversation. Welcome, Jennie. Tell us about yourself, and we'll dive right in.
Yeah, Felina, thank you for having me on. I'm a family filmmaker, videographer, and photographer, and I also do a little bit of birth, not a ton, because I don't like to be on call a lot, and I don't want to burn out. And I've been in business for 16 years. Up until 2017, I was posing families, doing your lifestyle stuff, all the things, and then discovered family films and felt like my world got flipped upside down. So
tell me what the difference is between what you were doing and what you're doing now.
Yeah, before, it was like you kind of follow like prompts and you have a shot list, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of factory oriented, like just move them through the same process every time. So that they get their fall family photos, annual family photos, whatever you want to call it. And the difference in doing real life photos and videos is that I'm a fly on the wall and I'm capturing your favorite routine in this season. So a typical Saturday in your life. Are we really going to live like all of these weekends with our families and never have one captured? So I'm there for about 3 hours. We've talked through what their favorite rhythms are. It might be like, we love when we wake up on Saturday mornings and Dad makes waffles and we go in the backyard and we play together and then we read our favorite books or whatever. And so we're creating a film and taking photos simultaneous to that for about 3 hours. And they're just doing their regular life. And there's no need for posing or forced anything. And things like fits happen or boo-boos or whatever, and we just roll through it, right? Because there's 3 hours, but I'm only making a 3 to 5 minute film. So it's like a highlight reel. And then it's this cherished thing that they hand down year after year after year to their kids. So
I love that so much. Like, one of the things, and I know we had like a whole list of things we wanted to touch on, but one of the things that you said that really struck me was like, nowadays, like you said, like everything is so structured, it's so staged. You go on social media and you see the posed, not that it's not authentic, because it's the real people, right. But it's real people in a curated, that's a good word for it, a curated scenario. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I love, I'm thinking back to my wedding, I love the pictures that were staged of my husband and I. Those pictures are beautiful. But there's a few pictures where the photographer caught us in a moment where we weren't aware that there was a camera on us, and it was just a candid little moment between us. And you can feel the difference between those two flavors of picture. And I imagine in a video that becomes even more pronounced, where, instead of, okay, now you pick the apple off the tree and take a bite and then look to your, you know what I mean? It's like the real interactions, the real,
and too, like when we ask them to do something, we're creating a false memory.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what they would have done. She might have done something different. She might have jumped, or she might have shaken the tree limb to get who knows, with her personality, what that little girl might have done, or little boy even. And so that's the other thing we don't realize, is when we intercede the moment and then direct it, we're creating a false memory. It's not real. And I agree with you. I think there's value in all of it. Nobody's saying like there's no value in annual family photos.
Sure.
And when clients work with me, I get them one good posed family portrait just because I know that they want that. And I love being able to blend that together and give them the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because every mom wants their family all snuggled together in a good shot, and they want to be able to put it on the wall.
The Christmas picture, I want my good Christmas picture.
Yeah, I don't want them to have to feel like they didn't get that, and then now they've got to go do a mini session or something with somebody else. So, I want to give them that, and it makes a really good cover photo for their video too. But yeah, I think when I see even some lifestyle photographers use the term storytelling, and I struggle with that because I'm like, you're making the story like that. Like, there's not a true story in going to a park on a Saturday evening at sunset and sitting on a quilt and playing these prompted games. And I say this just because if you zoom out, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And so when you zoom out and you think through that process and just thinking through what it is and what it isn't, and knowing that, to be able to make conscientious decisions about your family memories going forward. And maybe that's what you want. And that's okay. But it is what it is. It is something. So I just think that's interesting. Like, we create or intercede these memories. When I had somebody a couple weeks ago, she said, "You only live 6 minutes from me. Couldn't you just pop over for a quick 15-minute session of real life?" And I'm like, real life does not unfold in 15 minutes.
That's true.
Like, most of my job is waiting for the moment to happen. And I'm still capturing things happening, but I know that it's going to get better. I know that there's going to come a moment where the connection is even stronger. And if I intercede that, if I direct that, if I change something about the scene, I'm going to stop that from happening. And so, these 15-minute mini sessions, like, you just cannot capture real life in that time. So,
I mean, okay, so I have 2 kids. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And you're making me just kind of reflect on this. So yesterday we went to the park, just, whatever, regular day at the playground. We just took them to a local playground where we like to go. It was myself, my husband, and the 2 boys. And as we were leaving, I wanted to take a little selfie because whatever. And I the typical say cheese, and my boys go, you know what I mean? Like, that's their cheese face, and there's nothing that can be done about it. And so I have this goofy picture with their little silly little cheese face. But if I hadn't done that, and I wasn't holding the phone, and we were just snuggling, and I made him giggle or whatever, it's a different moment. It's a different thing. Like, he'll randomly come up to me, spontaneously grab my leg, hug me, and say, "I love you, Mama." And I can't stage that. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
They don't do it the same.
No, of course not. Because, okay, so kids are about as authentic as you can get. That's just a fact. Like, if he randomly runs up to me and says, "I love you, Mama," it's because he really does in that moment. Like, something within him said, "I want to go give Mama a hug and I want to go tell her I love her." And, like, he just does it. And if he's not happy, he'll tell you too. You know what I mean? Like, the social mechanisms, the filters, all that comes later. When they're 2, when they're 4, that just doesn't exist. And so everything is so authentic and so genuine and so real, and it's in that moment. And, like, what a cool thing to capture that reality and not something else.
Yeah. And too, like, I have a questionnaire that my clients fill out, and it would have prompted you to tell me that right now I love when my son comes up to me and hugs my leg and tells me he loves me, and I wait for that and I watch for it and I try to capture it. So it's like, it's that's the skill. That's what you're hiring me for, is to come in and see the moments, and even some that you didn't know existed, which happens all the time because as a mom, right, we're dealing with meals and boo-boos and fits and keeping them entertained and taking them outside and cleaning them up and all the things. And there's about 1 million moments that we don't even know happen. But when you have a professional that's on the fly, fly on the wall. Somebody too that has a 13 and a 16-year-old. I think that's a special part of my expertise is that I've seen it right before my eyes. Yeah. And I can look back and I have a different perspective from that maturity. And so I can better appreciate that 2-year-old throwing that fit. I think there's nothing funnier than a 2-year-old throwing a fit and a dad being frustrated. And I tell them that, like, sorry, I'm laughing, but this is so funny.
But there's something about that. So, like, back to the subject of videography, there is something about being in a moment, and I'm going to bring it into birth in just a second, because there's something different about being in a difficult moment. Think about, like, I don't know, doing some physical, exertion, some challenge, something really difficult, right? In the moment, you're like, kill me, this is the worst thing ever. It's so hard, and I'm so exhausted, and there's pain and discomfort, emotional, physical, whatever it is. But when you've overcome those, whatever the challenges, whatever the obstacles are, and you're on the other end, and you have this triumph, and you have victory, you look back at the pain and the discomfort and the misemotion, you look at it differently. It becomes restructured as not something awful, but something that you overcame. And so
something beautiful,
which is incredible. Like people are just incredible that way. I find that so fascinating. And so when it comes to birth, I can tell you that when I was in the thick, particularly with my first baby, when I was in the thick of transition, there was nothing beautiful about that moment, in that moment. It was anything but beautiful. I was exhausted. I was a mess. I was, like, sweaty and gross and miserable, and I can't do this, and I don't want to, and make it stop, and whatever. And now I look back on my birth story, and I can't help but smile as I tell it, because it was so incredible, and I did that, and I went through this grueling, difficult experience, and I came out the other end something stronger, something better, something wiser, more courageous. Like, I got so much more out of it than I could have known in that moment. And so had I known somebody was taking a video of me in that moment, I would have been like, I'm never going to want to see this again. You know what I mean? But now there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's regret, but if I had done it differently and I had a videographer, that would have been cool to be able to relive that from this current perspective of, actually, that was amazing. I did something incredible, Yeah,
it's hard to appreciate when you're in it. It's hard to appreciate it before you go through it. I remember I posted something probably like a little over a year ago about how you think you'll remember giving birth, right? It sounds memorable. And to a degree you will, of course. Right. But there's so much that you forget because you're not actually as conscientious of what's going on as you think you'd be. Yeah. You're very internal because you are just trying to almost dissociate to get through each contraction so that you can get to the other side of this. And I think that's a necessary skill, that dissociation. And so the beauty of 2026 is that we can have these films to be able to watch back the most transformative days of our lives because they're going to hands down be something you count on one hand as moments that transformed you in your life. Being able to rewatch that is powerful. It's amazing.
And okay, so you mentioned something while we were on the phone where people nowadays with AI, which I have mixed feelings about AI. I have a respect for it, that it does have a role in our society. I think it's inevitable and there's no point in trying to avoid it. But I do think that it comes, like, you have to be aware of what it can do and the downfalls. And nowadays I see people that take an old picture, right? Like, I don't know, a picture from their childhood, I don't know, some 80s or something like that. And they make a video, an AI video from this picture. And I get why people want to do that. I do. But there's something weird. I don't know what the word is. Yeah. It's like uncanny. It's creepy.
It's still not real.
It's not real.
Even though it's moving, it's not your movements, right? It's what AI guesses you might have moved like. But what's fascinating about it is that how badly are we craving video from that moment?
Exactly.
That we don't have. And then, you know, a lot of people want to say, well, we have iPhone. And we do. But what are we doing with that? I mean, when was the last time you rewatched 2024 iPhone videos? Besides when it comes up on your memories once a year, that does not count.
So I'm probably maybe in the minority. I go back through my pictures fairly regularly, and I watch pictures of my babies when they were babies and videos and whatever that I took. And I send them to my husband, like, remember when Matthew did this?
I love that.
You know.
I love that.
But you're right. Like, we have so many, and what do we do with them?
How are we going to hand that down?
Yeah.
How are your kids going to watch that in 20 years?
Right.
So we've got to figure that out. What I love about what I do, and I want to stay on birth, but just what I do for families, both birth and family, is that you have this, you know, 18 to 20 films that you can hand down to them that is, it's like insurance. They'll have at least that. If all the videos get deleted off the phone, if for some reason there's just too many to go through, they'll at least have this. And it's accessible and it's easy to watch. Mine are on my Roku TV. It's just easy. So, yeah, I think there's a huge movement happening. I think AI, too, is pushing us more towards wanting the real.
We do.
For sure.
We do. And I feel it myself, but I can see it in trends also. Like, you can see the overproduced, you know, influencers on Instagram, and everything is perfect and everything is staged and everything is just edited so that there's no flaws, there's no hiccups, there's no nothing. And it's like, it's kind of fun to see, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But when you see somebody post something authentic, and I'm not talking about the people who stage crying on the camera for attention, like, that's not the authenticity that I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about, like, somebody who just has the camera on and they catch, you know, dad and the kids roughhousing and throwing each other onto the couch and giggling, and, you know, somebody falls off and there's this moment of, oh no, and then he gets up and he goes, yay, you know, like the real moments. And there's something so warm, so fulfilling about those videos, and the people that actually talk like they mean it, not talking from a script. And, you know, like we were talking before we got started here, like, I don't follow some formal script or formal interview questions, because that's not what I want to hear in a podcast. I want to hear real conversations. Like, if we have a disagreement, let's talk about it. If we agree on things, let's talk about it. If something is interesting, let's get into it. Like, there's something so precious about genuineness and authenticity and reality these days. And I do think that you're right. Like, AI, you know, social media, all these things are kind of showing that contrast even more.
Yeah.
That we're like, no more of this fake stuff.
We're craving deep and meaningful.
Yeah.
Both in our relationships and in how we show up in the world, and how I'm seeing the shift of how people look at their family memories. I mean, I've been doing this since 2017, and I've seen such a huge shift in those 9 years, where people are starting to embrace, like, who they are. And you know, like, I have a degree in developmental psychology too, and I think there's a subtleness to telling this is accidental. Nobody's doing this on purpose. But if we only capture our family memories, like, through a lifestyle portrait session outside at sunset in the fall, when our kids are super clean and dressed head to toe in the outfit that we've chosen for them, we're accidentally telling them you're only worthy of photos when you are clean and put together and all these things. And how have we seen that, you know, from the early 2000s to now? If you look at, you know, people in their 20s who can't get on, you know, camera or whatever until they're perfectly put together, right? And I think there's something beautiful about showing kids, like, no, I want memories of you when you're digging in the dirt in the backyard, or memories of you when you put on your skirt with your purple shirt that you want to wear every single day with those silly shoes or whatever, you know, stage they're in. Like, there's something you're going to want to remember that, because someday they're not going to want that outfit, and they're going to want to be super cute all the time because they're in middle school and all their friends are cute. Like, I just think embracing all of that and then reverting that back to also birth, like, we're afraid to watch ourselves back in these vulnerable moments. And we can grow so much from that. Not only that, but if we're birthing a boy or a girl, showing them what birth looks like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think, like, well, on social media, I only see people, like, in beautiful white tubs who look beautifully put together in their birth, who are quietly, peacefully having babies. And it's like, and so that's a whole thing, right? We've accidentally curated birth. And
so can we pause and talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
So I was going to have a hospital birth, 8 months pregnant, and decided I was having a home birth. I turned to social media to watch videos. Like, that was the source of, I hate to admit it, but I needed validation for my decision. You know what I mean? I'm a woman. I don't know. It's just how I'm programmed, whatever it is. I wanted validation that what I'm doing is okay, that other people do this and survive, you know, whatever. I also wanted to see, what does it look like? What can I expect? Because, you know, I thought I knew what a hospital birth looked like. Again, I had that wrong also because I had that from Hollywood and whatever, but I thought I knew. But I didn't have any point of reference for what does a home birth look like. And so I started watching these videos, and I saw the twinkle lights, and I saw the beautiful cascading affirmation cards, and the gentle, slow piano music that was over the voices. And I saw the slow moment when the husband is holding the wife's hand or whatever. And I thought, whoa, this is ideal. It's calm, it's peaceful. And every now and then one would pop up that was real, and the mom's going, you know, and whatever, and I was like, what?
And wait, both are true, right?
Both are true.
Both are true.
So what I want to know is, in your opinion, how do you capture reality? Like, because people want a beautiful birth environment. There's nothing wrong with twinkle lights, okay? There's nothing wrong with candles in your birth environment. In fact, if it makes you feel peaceful and you think it's pretty, I think you should make it beautiful. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful place. But how do you balance the beautiful storytelling and the curated sort of highlight reel of birth along with what we're talking about, which is the reality, the raw, the real, the authentic experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I love about my work is that it is a mix of both. I really think audio is very important for storytelling. We shouldn't be, and something I focus on very much when I'm editing films is the sound of that music and the sound of their audio and which one is louder. And I want that audio to be louder than the song. The song should be background music, so it should just be this background. But the audio tells that story without her telling me, I don't think I can do this anymore. And her midwife's telling her, yes, you can. Remember, you've been doing it. We're just going to shift this way. We're going to shift this. We can do this. We're almost there. You've made so much progress. Without all of that audio, we miss the point of the film. The point of the film is not to zoom in on her vagina and watch a baby exit. It's not to make it look so peaceful and beautiful. It's to tell the reality back to her. But I also want her to rewatch it. So I need those to both happen. And a lot of my decisions I make are gut decisions. So I have a really close friend that's a midwife, and when she gave birth on her back at home, which is abnormal, but that was the right position.
Yeah.
And she looked at me. I was at the foot of the bed, and she was like, "Don't film this." And I was like, "Okay," but I still filmed it because I had this gut feeling she's gonna want to rewatch this because she's a midwife. And we don't have to put it in the video, and I don't normally film that. But some things are just a gut feeling. And later she was like, I'm so glad you did that because her baby was military OP, which means their chin is up, I believe, and then their face up. And so, like, she wanted to rewatch that position. But so it's just a gut decision of like, I really think this is going to be important to you. And then when I'm editing, making the decisions of what goes in and what doesn't go in, and then her rewatching it and telling me occasionally, it's very rare, somebody's like, I really don't want that in. And it's like, okay, as long as you're going to rewatch your video, I'll make it so you rewatch it. But there's a lot to balance in the decisions of what happens because there's so much unpredictableness in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just have a lot of intuition about like the audio that needs to go in and the parts of the story that need to go in and when to back off too. Like when she's going through a really hard time, she's not progressing and she needs quiet. And so we don't film for a bit and I'm out of the room. So there's just a lot of variables there to like work through so that we end up with a beautiful film that captures the story, is still raw, but not so like zoomed in on your, vagina. That's also like watchable because I want you to be able to watch it and I want you to be able to share it with your friends.
Right.
And we talk about that too. Like I meet with my clients before they book and we have a whole list of questions that we go through. What are you going to wear? What shots, what films have you watched of mine that you love? Why do you love them? What do you want filmed? What do you not want filmed? We go through all of that. And how do you feel about if it's going to be shared later or not? Who do you want to share it with? And they can always change their mind on that too.
So this is the thing. I feel like your clients are so lucky to have you because that's the exact mindset you have to have going into birth. I would say as both the mother and also as any sort of birth worker, as a doula, as a midwife, anything like that, where I think that some people are like, don't try to plan birth, right? I think you should. I think having a birth plan is great. I think having your ideal scenario in your mind is a good thing, so long as it doesn't make you feel disappointment if and when things go a different way.
Right.
Because it's not, where it's not like a wedding. I made a video recently comparing births to weddings in the financial sense. Like we spend so much money on our weddings and then we're like so concerned about how much money we're spending on our births. And anyway, it was just like a thought exercise. I don't know. It was a shower thought. I got so much crap about you can't compare births to weddings. They're nothing the same. Like I'm not saying they're the same. Do you know what I mean?
We can compare them.
We can. We actually can. They are two very transformative
In my
days.
opinion, we should be spending probably more on our birth than our wedding.
Thank you. I agree. Yes. But also in the sense that like a wedding is planned. You do schedule the whole thing out and it's a lot easier to control even if your crazy uncle gets drunk and everything goes haywire. Yeah. It is still easier to control. You can have a schedule. Maybe your schedule falls behind, but okay, we're going to walk down the aisle. We're going to do this. The groomsmen are going to stand here. The bridesmaids are going to stand here. Everything is kind of, the pieces are all in place and you have some control. Usually you have a maitre d' who's like telling people where to go. Sit here, don't sit there, whatever, walk that way. With birth, it's not like that. You can have an idea of where you want things and, I want to give birth in the water, or I want to do this, or we're going to end up at home, or I'm going to be in the hospital. Sometimes babies have other plans. You know what I mean? Sometimes you wanted a home birth, but you end up in a hospital. Sometimes you want a hospital birth and you end up giving birth at home because it's super fast. For me, I wanted to give birth in the water. That didn't happen for me either time. Like, things change.
That happens a lot.
A lot. And you have to go in with a willingness to experience anything. And I find that is the formula to having a happy experience, is be willing. That doesn't mean you plan on experiencing the worst, but you be willing to experience anything. So, so we end up at the hospital. Okay, come to terms with the fact that could happen, and I'm okay with that. Maybe this happens. And so with somebody like you, when you come into a birth and you're able to sort of use your gut instinct to work with the mom and, okay, this is what's needed in this moment. We're going to pivot here. We're going to change this while still having a plan in your mind of, okay, I want to capture this shot. I want to catch that moment. This is really important to her. And one of her priorities is getting like the ambiance because she put a lot of work into putting up those twinkle lights or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I love that. And I think that probably makes you such a valuable commodity in the birth experience.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think too, like, I don't know what it is about our culture right now, but we're really caught up in, and it's not the economy, because it's always, I've been in business for 16 years. This is a chronic problem. There's something where we don't hesitate to spend money on our Starbucks or a weekend getaway or whatever fancy thing to make our house look nice so we keep up with the Joneses. But we strongly hesitate to spend more than $200 for family photos or to really hire a professional to document something like the birth of your child. And I think that's really sad, because I think, and I talk to parents about this all the time. I've become very transparent about this, that, you know, the woman that reached out to me for the 15-minute session, I had a whole discussion with her about it, because she was like, oh, we're just spending so much money right now because we just moved in. And I'm not saying she should hire me anyway. I just want to be clear. Like, I'm not saying that. But I did say to her, I said, I understand, because we go through seasons of that. I've been in seasons where it's like left and right. Money is just flying out of the window, and it just feels overwhelming. And so that might not be the time to hire me. But in 10 years, will we miss that? Will we miss the money that we spent? So if it's, you know, my family films are $2,000, my birth films are $3,000. They come with photos. Will we miss $2,000 to $3,000? No. The only thing my clients feel on the other side of either one of those transactions is absolute gratitude when they watch their films. And it's like the number of times I've been messaged 2 years down the road of, my dog died, I'm so glad you filmed that. And that's just a dog. Luckily, we've not had this happen to humans. But it's like, or they say like, I just watched my birth film back, my baby's 3. I'm so glad I got that. And it was a hard decision at the time, right? Because it's not just you and your emotions and your motherly needs to have that film. It's your husband saying no, because he's practical and his job is to make sure he has enough money to provide for his family. And so it's a complicated discussion. This is not black and white. But will we miss the money in 10 years? And you can't apply that to every decision. But there's a handful of things, at least in my life and my marriage, that are just non-negotiables, aside from absolute poverty, right? We wouldn't be able to do that. But we're talking middle class, you know, Americans, like, this is just the non-negotiable. We make it happen some way or another. I have a client in Tampa, Florida, lives 10 hours away, has hired me 5 years in a row. Brings me down. They've had really tight years. They've had better years. They have 4 kids. They forego for each other. They forego Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthday, and Christmas and anniversary gifts to hire me to travel down there because it's that important to them. So I see this play out even in, you know, the lower income families that just make it happen because they value it so much.
So the truth of the matter is, I agree with you completely. Time and money, you know, like, what are the 2 biggest excuses for anything in the world? It's time and money. But, and I say this while also looking in a mirror, like I'm talking to myself as much as I am to anybody else, where the things that are important to me, I make the time for. The things that are important to me, I find the money for. And sometimes, I mean, you make the best decision with the information you have, right? Like some people just are like, okay, well, photos are just not important. And so you don't find the money for them, and they're not a luxury that you can afford. Fine. But it is a fact that you will find the resources for the things that are important to you. And you can't lie. I mean, you can lie to yourself. You can. I've done it, sort of. Where I'm like, I do think that's important. I just don't have the money for whatever it is. But, like, when it really comes down to it, you know. So I didn't hire a photographer or a videographer for either of my births because at that time, I didn't think it was important. If I have another baby, I think I will make different decisions. But I realized looking back, like, my first birth, I had my mom taking pictures. And I treasure those pictures so much. And I share them with people, and they still impact me today. My kid is almost 4.5. And I look at those pictures and I can relive the emotions and those moments. Like, I know there's one picture she caught as my water broke. I was in the middle of a contraction. My face is contorted. There is nothing flattering about this picture. I'm like gripping onto my husband for dear life. And it's such a raw moment. And if I knew that she was taking a picture at that time, I probably would have told her to stop. And I'm so glad she got that picture, because I can relive that moment that I otherwise may not remember in such a clear way, right?
Well, and that's a deeper side of yourself, right?
Right.
That you get to, I mean, it's facing yourself and saying, that's a deep part of me that I had no idea I had.
Right.
And that's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
That's why you want to look at it. It's not just because you had a baby and the baby's amazing and all of that is true, but it's like we don't reach the end of ourselves very often in our lives anymore, because life is so comfortable. We don't have to hunt for food. We don't have to, survive anything. So when we get these rare moments to see this deeper side of ourselves, I think it's really powerful and shifts us in a big way that we don't expect.
I agree with you.
And I think I've never heard anybody say anything but good things after they have a film, birth or family or whatever. I've only heard, I wish I had done this before. Why didn't I do this with my first? Why didn't I do this years ago? Why did I wait so long? I didn't know it would be like this. And you don't know how it's going to be. And I think this is the biggest hang up for people when they have hesitations over family or birth films, is they don't understand what it's going to be like to watch it back. And that first time they watch it back, it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And that's what I love is I have one client who hired me for birth the first time and then hired me for family film. And she said she had no idea she would love it as much as she did, because she thought the birth film would be so much greater. Because we undervalue or underestimate the beauty in this messy, mundane parenting thing. And so we really don't expect to feel what we feel when we watch that family film back.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like the world has become so fast-paced, and I think it's only going to get faster. I don't think it's going to slow down. Like, everything is available. I remember when you would order something on Amazon, and if it got to you in 10 days, that was fast. That was amazing. Amazing, right? I got it in 10 days.
Now it's like
what?
4 hours. It's
now, if you don't get it the next day, we're like, it's probably not worth ordering because I'm not going to get it.
It's like same day now.
Depend if you're in a city, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. And I'm like, if you think about that was not that long. I'm not that old. That was not that long ago. And then before that, we didn't even have Amazon. You had to drive to a store. What? You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I know.
And then if the store didn't have it, you had to ask them to order. It's like everything has gotten so fast. Everything has gotten so, the instant gratification aspect of life is at an all-time high, you know? That I think that in life, we tend to forget to appreciate the moments that we can slow down. I try really hard that if I'm playing with my kids, I am playing with my kids. I'm not on my phone. I'm not trying to get something else done. If I'm trying to get something else done, I go and I try to get it done.
Yeah.
And then I sit down, the other day, my little one, my 4-year-old, asked me, Mama, can you color with me? And I had dishes to do, and I had work stuff to do, and I had all these things. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's sit down and color. And I did, and I put my phone down, and we sat at the table, and we colored, and we shared pencils, and the little one came over, and he was coloring, and then my husband came over, and he started coloring. We just sat at the table, and we colored. And it was this moment, and I was in it, but I was kind of looking at it sort of exterior to the scene. And I was like, that's something that I would have loved to have somebody there for, because it was spontaneous. It was fun. A fight broke out about whether or not a color was the same color or not between the boys. We settled that. I had a blast coloring. I just genuinely had a lot of fun. And, there were talks about what picture to, whatever. It was like real conversation with my kids, and my husband is laughing, and the boys are, you know, reaching over the table and climbing over each other to get to the pencils. And I was like, what a cool moment. And it seems so boring. It seems so, like, nothing particularly exciting was happening. Like, we were coloring at our house at the dining room table. But how often
is that going to happen again? Like,
exactly.
Because it was so spontaneous and it was so unplanned.
And the dishes were in the background, you know, piling up, whatever. And
Which is
like,
real.
It's real. It was so real.
And when your kids with even photos, like, because I do documentary photos for hesitant, like, not everybody wants to jump to a film. But even if there was documentary photos of that, like, one thing that because I have calls with my clients before we have these real life sessions, and I talk about, like, don't overly clean your space. Leave it somewhat real, because your kids are going to want to remember their childhood and exactly how it was. And so if it's normal for a pile of books to be on a table or for some dishes to be on the counter, as hard as it is to not clean that up, don't clean it up.
Yeah.
I had a documentary session with a family for the second time, just photos, like a week and a half ago, and she had that same conversation. I showed up and she was like, me and Matt were talking right before the session about how hard it was to not clean up. So she's like, I want to remember this. I want to remember this real moment. And then I looked at her outfit at one point and I was like, do you remember what you wore last time? And she was like, I think the same outfit. And I was like, are you good with that? And she was like, yeah, this is my mom uniform. Like, that's what I wear. And she's like, I love looking at photos of me in them. And I know that's weird. And I said, that's not weird. And she's like, but this is what I do day in and day out for how many days? How many years do we do this job? Are we really going to go all 18 years and not have it photographed once? Like, that shocks me that we're going to, like, this is how we spend our life. This is the fruit. This is like, everything in our soul revolves around this. And we're not going to have it filmed or photographed. I had a client reach out last fall. She wanted a fall family shoot. I was like, I don't do regular fall family shoots. I do real life. Oh, we're in a rental and I don't want that photographed and we're going to move in the next 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so you're telling me that because you're in a rental that you don't love, that your kids cannot have photos of their childhood? Because that's what you're saying. You are so caught up in the aesthetics. And those aesthetics are not going to stand out. I'm not going to zoom in on the dust in the corner or the window you hate or whatever it is that you dislike about your house. I'm not going to zoom in on it. I'm going to be photographing or filming, and this goes to birth too, the connection, the moments. Like, with what I love about what I do in birth, because there's a lot of different birth videographers out there, and what I think stands out about me, and everybody has their uniqueness and all has value. But because I came from family films and went to birth second, I focus on the emotions in the room, the connections in the room, the support that you had to get you through this transition into motherhood. And that's the story I want you to replay, is how the hardest moments of your life, the people and the community and the love and the support that got you through that and brought you all the way through that. Whether it's vaginal birth at home or transferring and having a C-section, which is also really, really hard and requires a lot of support. So I think these emotional moments, these deep, meaningful moments, whether it's cleaning up the spill in the kitchen from your 2-year-old or having a baby, are just so incredibly and beautiful and important that we underestimate.
I think we're also so prone to criticize ourselves. I was just talking with the guest from the last episode after the fact, and I'm so quick, and I think that I speak for a lot of women, I'm so quick to criticize myself because I don't live up to some imagined standard that I have set for myself. And nobody else sees that. Not even the people closest to, especially not the people closest to me. You know, like, we want our baseboards to not have a single speck of dust. Who's looking at your baseboards? You know? I look back at a picture and I'm like, oh, that's such a weird smile. And my husband's like, are you kidding? You look gorgeous. Like, and I know he means it, you know, or whatever it is. Or, you know, there's a stain on my kid's shirt in that picture. I wish that wasn't there, and otherwise it would be a perfect picture.
We always want to erase the real life.
But it's these weird, and it's funny because when I look at pictures or videos of somebody else, I don't see those things. I don't. I have a friend who tends to be very critical of her pictures. She's like, "Oh, I look terrible." And I'm like, it feels very like cliche to be like, "No, you look beautiful." But I genuinely think that. Like, I don't see what you see. You know, when you look at yourself, when you're evaluating your own pictures, your own videos, your own environment, whatever, you are your worst critic.
Yeah. And you're going to see it differently in 10, 20 years.
Exactly.
Because you're going to be older. And you're going to look back and be like, I looked really good. Or,
to your point, when I was like 18, I refused to wear shorts, okay? My skinny, obnoxiously skinny self was so self-conscious about my thighs, what thighs, first of all, that I refused to wear shorts. And I like looked back at a picture of myself. Somebody caught a picture of me. We were at like a pool or something. And I remember being so embarrassed by that picture. And I was like, it's awful. And I look back and I'm like, girl, what? What are you thinking? You are like, and I'm like, now I'm after 2 kids. Not that I've like whatever. I'm
but you
still
change.
In decent shape, but my body certainly has changed. And, you know, I'm not going to have the perfectly flat stomach because I grow very large babies. And, you know, I was like, what were you thinking? You should have worn all... Now I wear shorts. I have thighs. And I'm like, somebody has a problem with that. It's not my problem. That's their problem.
Right. I'm hot.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to be sweaty. I'm going to wear shorts. Right. Somebody's offended by that. That's
But it's true. Like, we don't appreciate what we have right now.
And that's exactly what you're saying. We're like, I have a picture from my second birth where the baby was just handed up to me, and my face looks ridiculous. Where I'm like it's like some like crazy expression of disbelief because he came flying out of me. It was so fast, and I was like still in shock with like this ecstatic moment of surprise, and my hair is a disaster, and I'm like, you know, the goop that is on newborn babies and blood and stuff is like on me. And I'm like, it's just this again, another one of those moments where, is it picture perfect? No. Like, there's no twinkle lights behind me. There's like some random mismatched towels on the couch, and I'm a mess, and my hair is a mess, and my face looks ridiculous, and I don't have any makeup on, and whatever. But I look at that picture and I'm like, that was such a cool moment. Like, that was so awesome.
So, circling back to when we were talking, so we're talking about hating photos of ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Other people snapped a photo and we didn't like it. Where does that come from? And does that come from maybe that we only get photographed when we're perfectly prim and proper and posed, and somebody else is putting us in the most perfect angle, in the most perfect light, in the most perfect positioning? Is that where this comes from, that we're so hypercritical of when other people take candid video or candid photos of us? Like, it's slightly imperfect, and so we can't handle that. And how can we desensitize to that? We can desensitize to that by watching more candid photos and videos of ourselves so that our internal and our external can match. And then we can see ourselves through our children's eyes, right? Because that's the goal, is when you watch these films back, for them to watch their mom and how much they fell in love with them or loved them, or what they said to them, or how she had this song that she sang to them every time she put them down for a nap, or whatever. Or even while your baby's nursing, like if they're, you know, they like to play with here, grab your hair, or whatever their little quirk is that they do only when they're nursing, because it goes away after that. Or maybe they dig your finger in your belly button, which is horribly obnoxious.
So awful.
But, like, and maybe that belly button has a little bit of a layer of fat because it's protective of your breast milk. And it's temporary. And so, like, you know, you're 28 right now, but when you're 38 and you watch that back and you wish you could go back and you wish you could nurse that baby again, just being able to watch that back, you're going to appreciate it so much later. I think that's one thing too, is about when you have your real life documented, whether it's birth or family, that increases in value every year. Because as your kid gets older and further away from being 4 when they were filmed or photographed, or from the moment they were born at their birth, that value increases, and you just cherish it so much more each year that it goes on, because they're not that anymore. And that's
and if the video lasts, let's say you have a daughter, and that daughter gets to experience what birth was like for you, and then she has her own baby and she has her own experience, the appreciation she would have, and the value, like you said, it just increases. I don't know by how, but by a factor of what, you know what I mean? Like, wow, mom went through this, and now I got to experience this, and this generational, ancient, beautiful experience, you know, whatever. And however that experience plays out, and it's going to be different for everybody, but that value, like you said, it just, your kids are going to get older. They're going to learn to appreciate even more. You know, once they have their own kids, they're going to be able to look at you and say, oh, wow, we're doing the same thing, or I'm doing something different, or look, we had this shared reality, you know?
Yeah. And too, I think another thing about birth video that we forgot to touch on too, that I think is unexpected, is how it helps the mom process her birth. I think from a psychological standpoint, whether we get the birth that we planned and it's a home birth in the tub and all the things, or it's out of the tub and on all fours, or it's on the toilet, or it's at a hospital, or it's a C-section, or whatever on the spectrum you get, I think there's still stuff to process, because it's so earth-shattering, and the brain takes a while to process what just happened to me. What did I just do? Yeah. That was really hard. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I have a human that I have to keep alive. Like, all of that is an enormous mental transformation. And I give my films back usually about 3 to 4 months postpartum. And I think that's beautiful timing, because they've had time to process their birth, and now they can watch it back. And they always say, like, that was perfect timing, because I'm feel like I'm finally coming to grips with how my birth played out. And being able to watch it back gave me such peace. And I've heard that about births that were just fast, but at home, because fast is traumatic, slow is traumatic, not in the tub is traumatic.
Listen, a birth is a lot. No matter which way you cut it, a birth is a once, well, I won't say it's a once in a lifetime experience. It's a very rare and unique experience, and it is not like any other day of your life. Yeah. That's just what it is, you know, and all the more reason to capture it and be able to relive it and share it. Like, that's another thing. The girl that I had on, the photographer, Ashley, sharing your birth story has such value. Because as much as I was ragging on the women who shared their overly, you know, perfect twinkle lights, quiet, peaceful births, I'm grateful that they did. Because those shared birth stories did help me have the confidence to do what I did. Yeah. And then I became a birth doula, and now I'm having podcast conversations like this. And, like, those women that I'll never meet, and I don't know their names. I watched so many videos, I couldn't even begin to try to thank all of them. They shared their story, and it gave me something, fuel for all of this that I'm doing now, you know? So I think that's another beautiful thing about the videos and the photos and even just the written story, you know? Like,
and letting the audio play out. Because, like, I've had discussions after, you know, I've delivered the birth film, and I wait 4 or 5 days, and I'm like, okay, how are you feeling about sharing this on social media? And that's a big ask. And on one hand, like, we all hate social media to some degree. We don't really cherish what it is, because it's got a lot of negative. But on the other hand, if we don't put this out into the world, right, then we don't counteract that curated idea of what birth is. And we make people feel like they're on an island when they're not that. And so having clients that aren't that, that are the other. They're loud or they roar or whatever. Yeah. Getting them, if that's what they want, to share it for the sake of showing people what real birth looks like has such good value in it. And like, I'm so grateful anytime anybody does share, because it is so beneficial to women, both who may haven't had a baby yet, may want to have a home birth, or may want to have a birth videographer. Like, to all of those things, it helps show this side of things too, so that they can evaluate that for themselves.
I would add one more person to that list that benefits from that video, which is the mom who already had her baby, and seeing the videos that were curated thinks, oh, I'm the oddball here. I'm the weird one that wasn't perfect and calm, and I swore like a sailor, and I yelled at my husband, and I snapped at the midwife, or whatever that experience was for you, right? Like, oh, I'm not weird. This is a normal thing that happens, and not everybody's birth looks the same. Like, no two births look the same, okay? But we all have this shared experience where, you know, somebody else also found it difficult. Somebody else also found it, you know, fun. Somebody else laughed in the middle of birth. Somebody else was quiet. Somebody else was loud. Somebody else screamed or roared or whatever.
Or capturing the reality of that. Like, I remember this photo of my good friend's birth last May, where she was mad because she was not progressing like she wanted to progress, all the things. And she sat on the toilet backwards, chucked the basket of stuff over her, and the midwife is picking them up. Because that's what a midwife does when you're mad. She just picks up the stuff you just threw. Calmly, because she loves you, and you're in the middle of labor. And so, like, I'll never forget that photo. It's just hilarious. She's so mad. Her head's thrown back. And the midwife's just quietly picking up stuff behind her and putting it back in the basket.
How beautiful is that?
And it's like, that's exactly what birth is. It's other women cleaning up after you because you're mad and pissed off and you threw something across the room.
Yeah, and it's all from
okay
a place
to be
of
mad.
love. And everybody's
Yes.
like, yup, we got you, girl.
Yep. And then you break down into tears and you're like, why am I not progressing? Why am I fighting this? Whatever. There's all the audio in this girl's video. And they're like, because it's hard. Because it's hard. This is not easy. And there, I think some of the curated videos make us think it's supposed to be easy.
Yes.
But it's not. It's hard. And there's some hard in all of it. Yeah, I think too, like, the dads seeing it is more beneficial than you'd think. Yeah. A dad being able to watch his wife, because he doesn't get to experience it as much as you'd think either, because he's busy, like, holding her hand or rubbing her back or filling the tub or heating up water on the stove or whatever, hundreds of things that need done. And so,
or just worrying and wondering if she's okay, because this may be his first time doing this too.
Yeah, so he's internal too, and there's just a lot happening, and so him being able to watch it back and watch him support his wife and watch his wife come to the other side and watch everybody get to meet the baby or even find the gender out, which is a second surprise. They'll have the baby and then announce the gender and have this huge reaction. I mean, what a cool moment to be able to watch back when your parents found out you were a girl or a boy and see their raw reaction. Like, that's absolutely priceless.
I love this.
I didn't share this at the beginning, but one of the reasons I think I'm drawn to this work so much is that I last saw my mom on my wedding day, and I got married in 2006, and wedding videography wasn't a thing, so I didn't have a wedding videographer, and she died 3 weeks later, and so I have no video or audio of her from our whole lives together, and so I think that's where my passion comes from. I think that's why when I learned about family films, I was so transformed so fast, is because I would give anything. I would easily hand you $50,000 if you could produce a video authentically, not AI, of my mom with her genuine laugh and her genuine smile, and to be able to watch that back. And I just think we really undervalue. Our kids are going to want us, even if we're 10 pounds overweight, even if we're postpartum or getting wrinkles or whatever the excuse is, our kids are going to want to see us in video. They're going to want to hear our voice and play that back. So it's not even just for the parents, it's for the kids too.
Yeah. What a beautiful note to end off on. I think that you don't need to sell the point because it's real and it's true. I have tears in my eyes. It's true. You know, it goes back to that, you know, you're critical of yourself, but what would your kids give to be able to see your imperfect self, right? So, there you go. I have tears. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no! Oh, please, are you serious?
I didn't mean to get emotional.
It's okay. It's okay. But that's what it is. It's real and it's true. You know.
It's such a beautiful job. I love my job so much. It makes me. I've been doing it for 9 years now, and I still like have the same just like heartbeat for it and like emotional connection. And I'm just like obsessed with my job. Obsessed with showing a mom how amazing she is when she's sweating and frustrated and tired or whatever. It's just the best job. And I appreciate you for having me on and letting me talk about it because it's such a passion for me.
And it shows. It's very tangible all the way over here on the other side of the screen. So with all that said, where can people find you? If somebody wants to hire you, where can they find you? And if they just want to follow you on social media and learn more about your work and see your beautiful products, where can they find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm Jennie Pyfferoen _family films or .family films.
I'll put a link underneath. That's okay.
Yeah, and then JenniePyfferoen .com. It's JenniePyfferoen .familyfilms on Instagram. So I can't thank you enough for having me on. This was so fun.
I am so happy we got to. I'm very grateful that you reached out, that you asked about coming on the podcast. I'm really glad we connected, and I think this is a very valuable conversation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So well, with no further ado, we'll call it a day. Thank you to everyone joining. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. I'd love to hear if you guys had a videographer at your birth, if you didn't, what your thoughts are on the subject. I'd love some feedback, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.